Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Wednesday, September 6th, and we're continuing our study of the number 40. One of the things that jumped out at me yesterday is that it said that the word 40 appears 158 times in the King James translation. So it hadn't really jumped out at me until I did the video yesterday, but I started to wonder, okay, what's the 158th word in Hebrew in the Strong's Concordance? Well, that word, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but that word translates as love. And the pictograph represents one who is looking at a great sight with their hands raised as when saying, "Behold." It is a representation of a tent or a house. Combined, these pictures mean look toward the house or provide for the family. One does not choose the household which one is born into, including tribe, parents, children, and wife. It is a gift from God. These gifts are seen as a privilege and are to be cherished and protected. So what is really resonating with me is that it's someone with their hands raised saying, looking at a great sight and saying, "Behold," and it's basically, behold, look at all the things that God has provided for me and that I'm thankful for. And now I am therefore charged with to protect. And how do you protect that? With that spiritual warfare. Now, as we continue in this study of the number 40, one of the things that came out as I was studying this is we have a human being is created in God's image, and there are 40 weeks of gestation before that baby is ready to be born. A healthy pregnancy goes 40 weeks. That's not an accident. Once again, that number 40 is showing up. And then as we continue on, there's more appearances of the number 40. Because of their, and this is a quote again from Bible Study Tools article. Because of their sins after leaving Egypt, God swore that the generation of Israelites who left Egyptian bondage would not enter their inheritance in Canaan. How long did they wander in that wilderness? 40 years. The book of Exodus in the King James translation is the only one that contains 40 chapters. They wandered for 40 years, and the book that documents that has 40 chapters. That's no accident. From the time they entered the Promised Land to the time of King Saul, Israel was sporadically governed by a number of judges. There were several judges that served for 40 years: Othniel, Deborah, Barak, Eli, and Gideon. There were 3 human kings over the children of Israel: Saul, David, and Solomon. How long was their rule? 40 years. Abraham tried or bargained with God to not destroy Sodom and Gomorrah if 40 righteous people were found within. That's in Genesis 18:29. Both Isaac and Esau were 40 years old when they were first married. Elijah went 40 days without food or water at Mount Horeb. We just talked about that yesterday. Jesus was tempted by the devil 40 times many times during the 40 complete days he fasted at the start of his ministry. From Jesus's resurrection from the dead, he appeared to several people over a period of how many days? 40 days. When he ascended to heaven on May 18th in 30 AD. He commanded his disciples to wait 10 days until Pentecost, so they may receive the power of the Holy Spirit. So from Jesus' resurrection to the day of Pentecost, which means 50, was 50 days. 40 days into that, Jesus ascended, and then they had a 10-day waiting period. We're going to talk about that in the next series. God flooded the earth by having it rain for 40 days and 40 nights. After the patriarch Jacob died in Egypt, the Egyptians spent 40 days embalming his body. God allowed the ancient Israelites from time to time to be harassed and dominated by certain enemies in order to chastise or humble them for their sins. The Philistines in the southern and western parts of Israel land harassed them from 1105 to 1065. God's resolution to the harassment was Samson, who would become one of Israel's judges. Now, if you do the math, you've got 40 years that they were harassed. And then it goes into the number 40 and prophecy. And we're going to pick up right there next for tomorrow. But as you continue to understand and dive into this number 40, allow it to resonate with your spirit. Allow the Holy Spirit to communicate with you and let you know what this means for your walk with Christ. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.